obtain their land, they are impeding them. Sometimes equipment is even destroyed. There are very many problems, but nevertheless I believe that the Kuban farmers are pioneers in developing farming in our country, and I believe they will live up to that name. We are counting on them. We will have a harvest this year in the Kuban area and in Russia, and by autumn, or at least at the time where we bring in the harvest, we will solve many of our food and other problems. The number of farms in Russia increased 13 times over the last year. Now we have already 58,000 farms, or you could say we have only 58,000 farmers. Depends how you look at it. The Coordinating Council of the Strike Committees of the Kuzbas received a telegram today from the Russian State Secretary Gennady Burbulis. They postponed their strike scheduled for tomorrow, when Burbulis promised the strike committee that he would send representatives from the government. This process is quite painful. On March 11th, hospitals, stores were to be closed, milk and bread would be sold only from trucks, public transportation would be halted, they would stop shipments of goods to other cities. This seems like some sort of self-immolation, a local coup, a putsch in the Kuzbas, which could lead to similar events in other regions. The new tax law has added to people's confusion. How do we pay? Who do we pay to? Can we refuse to pay at all? Natalia Chernyshova clears up the situation. Oh, taxes, dust to fog. Dust because money is rapidly losing its value, and fog because the law on the principles of taxation in the Russian Federation was published only today. So for 2 months, we have not written down in our work record books how much we earned. And if you don't have this book, then you have to start one, because starting next year, each April 1st, we will have to send to the tax department in the area where we are registered a tax return showing income from salary, awards, other income, even from speculation, which is now called free trade. And you have to note not only the amount you have received, but how much has already been withheld from your pay. 342 rubles of your income will not be subject to tax, and 342 rubles can be deducted for each child by either parent. All organizations, both government and commercial organizations, must send by March 1st to the tax departments information about who worked there and who was paid money. The tax department, having received your tax return, will determine how much you still have to pay into the budget. But the thought comes up, can you hide your income? Of course you can. You can if you want to, and if we don't have enough tax inspectors. And this free trade, of course, is impossible to control. For hiding income, there is an additional payment of the entire sum of the concealed income, and also a fine in the amount of the sum of the concealed income. If you conceal your income twice, then you will pay that amount plus a double fine. In cases of hiding of large amounts of income, criminal punishments will be introduced. On the wall of the U.S. Finance Department, there's a sign, taxes are the payment for civilized life. If we want to live like they do, we need to learn how to act like they do. So let's start keeping track of our income in our workbooks. Russian deputies, calling on all their combined ornithological knowledge, have chosen the nicest eagle for the Russian state seal. Our correspondent reports on the details. Of course, the seal of the Russian Federation is not the most urgent issue in today's life, but it is seen that the seal is the final point in creating the sovereignty of the state. A seal with a two-headed eagle, according to the Special Commission, marks a revival of the traditions of Russian heraldry, which are 500 years old. The eagle symbolizes looking both east and west. The deputies and experts who testified at the hearings also pointed to these facts. The use of the eagles in the seals of Peter I and the provisional government are somewhat different. And how do we make this idea consistent with the fact that the Russian Federation is made up of sovereign republics which have other historical symbols of their own? Perhaps this should be expressed in the seal. The opinion was also expressed that Russia is in a transition period, and it is unclear what kind of country it will become. Perhaps the commission should continue its work based on the image of the two-headed eagle. Eagles are used in the seals of 24 countries. Mikhail Gorbachev, along with the other members of the former Politburo, should testify on the financial affairs of the Communist Party, according to Russian General Prosecutor Valentin Stepankov. Answering the questions of reporters on the timetable for the trials of the coup plotters, Stepankov said that they will be held no earlier than September. One of the most important problems, he said, was the extreme difficulty in exercising procurators' oversight in Tatarstan and Chechnya. The General Procurator talked about the possibility of criminal responsibility for former USSR people's deputies who acted to destabilize the situation in the society. What can you say about trends in violations of laws? We have determined today that local and regional councils and local administrations have begun to violate Russian laws far too often. This is most applicable to the local level. So prosecutors' offices are attempting to establish uniform legality on the territory of the entire Russian Federation. The General Procurator Stepankov said that he considers illegal the declaration of the Tatar Kurultai Council on creating a National Guard and holding a referendum on the future of Tatarstan on March 25th. He also plans to raise the issue of parliamentary immunity to the leader of the Itifakh party, Fauzi Bayramanov, and to bring criminal charges against him, accusing him of inspiring national conflicts. The referendum in Tatarstan is underway. Polling places are being selected. The election commission is meeting and ballots are being printed. There was a dispute over the precise translation of the question of the referendum to the various languages of the peoples here. The opponents of the referendum said that the incorrect formulation of the question reflected the desire of local authorities to hold an immediate referendum and remove the Republic from Russian jurisdiction before a new constitution. The local leaders, they say, plan to undertake privatization to their own benefit and not under Russian law. The President of the Parliament and the Parliament opposed the secession of the Republic from Russia, favoring instead to raise the status of the Republic. A positive answer at this referendum could give nationalist forces a mandate to create an ethnic state. The secession of the Republic of Karelia from Russia is being compared in the local press here to the situation in Tatarstan, although about 86% of the population here is Russian-speaking. The agenda for the Supreme Soviet in January did not include this issue, and generally there is no basis to interpret the situation here in Karelia. We do not plan to secede from Russia, although there are certain social movements in our republic which believe that it is possible to consider the joining of part of our republic with Finland. Everyone has the right to his own opinion. Now there's a lot of attention comparing Karelia with Tatarstan. Our position is this: we support the Federation Treaty and we hope it will be signed in the near future. Germans in the Commonwealth countries, on the eve of their own Congress, are preparing public opinion by saying that they will be forced to return to Germany if conditions are not created here for their national rebirth. In order to show the seriousness of their intentions, they have appealed to German authorities to increase the quota for entry. What is the fate of Germans in Russia and the other Commonwealth countries? This question will be answered at the Second Congress of Germans held March 20th. According to the chairman of the Rehabilitation of Germans Commission, Henry Groth, he is skeptical about the future. This is all a unified scenario for destroying the German people here, both by the conservative former Soviet center and the democratic government of Russia. They are opposing in every way they can the restoration of the Volga German Republic, even though they give it their official support. According to Groth, 80 to 90% of the Germans living in Commonwealth countries, and there are 2 million of them altogether, are ready to move to Germany. The gradual character of the Russian president's order on rehabilitating the German people is meeting with disapproval among Germans in Russia, and they believe it will lead to their disappearance as an independent people and their total assimilation. In 4 or 5 years, immigration to Germany has increased. The German embassy here has 500,000 applications. 150,000 people already have visas, but there is still something to hope for here. The loss of these people would bring a great loss to our country. According to the former Gosplan of the Soviet Union, the loss of 100,000 Germans would mean a loss of 4 billion rubles at old prices, and in Germany it would bring in an additional 4 billion marks.